This is the best time of year to grab nettles for fiber, right after they've blossomed and given off seed. I want to save some for the rhizomes. I think I'll get one more. I think that'll be enough. Whenever you cut nettle, make sure you wear heavy gloves because it'll sting you. That's why they call it stinging nettle. Oh. Now we can go collect our leaves. Okay, here we are. We've got our nettles. We can begin to process them and collect our leaves. Whoops. So here we go. So we're just, with our heavy gloves on, we're just stripping these leaves and seeds off our nettle stem. And then the rest of the stem is for fiber. We just need to rub our glove up and down that stem a couple of times to reduce the hypodermic needle stinging effect. So now it should be perfectly safe to handle. This is the ideal time to grab nettle stems for fiber. The ideal time being after they've set their seed. I've grabbed some nettle stems already, a little early for fiber, but this is the ideal time. This is when the fiber is at its optimum. So this will do it for stinging nettle for this year. We will revisit it again next spring to get some leaves for soup. But that's it for this year. Okay, so the next step on our fiber nettle stems is to ret them. We're going to ret them in a retting tub. They call this pond retting. The other way to ret them would be to put them out on your lawn and let the dew provide the moisture so that you can ret them. Ret means rot. Nettle is a bast fiber plant, so it's got an outer bark that we want to rot off so that we can get to a middle layer, which is where the fiber is. So we need to get rid of that outer layer. Some people will grab their fiber in the green state like this. I haven't learned how to do that yet, so I will be retting our stems. So we'll take it to the pond now. Our nettle stems are safe to handle now because we rubbed off the little needles. We're going to just put these stems, the bundle that we made, we're going to put them in this pond here. And I have a rock because we've done this before several times this summer. That rock will hold them underwater. And we'll come back in 3 or 4 days. Well, good morning, everyone. About 4 days ago, we harvested some stinging nettle stems for fiber. And we also took the leaves off that we took to the house. We dried them all up and we chopped up the leaves to make tea out of. That's a different story. But we're concerned today with our stinging nettle stems because we're going to extract the fiber from those bast plants, stinging nettle. And after we cut the stems, we put them in our retting tub. That was 4 days ago. And so now they're ready to come out, and that's what we're going to do right now. Come along and watch. Okay, so here we are, and I've got this rock that I use to hold down plants that I want to ret. Now remember, ret is another word for rot. And here they are, our stinging nettle stems. Hopefully they are sufficiently retted so that we're going to re-dry these stems now, and then we're going to be extracting the fiber from them. So now I'm just going to untie the bundles, take these strings right off. They've done their job. If we untie these bundles and let these stems lay apart, they'll dry off a little quicker and more evenly. Get those off of there. And so here's our stems. They look wonderful. Dropped a couple on the floor. So we're going to let those dry off. Probably only take a day or two. And then we'll go on to the next step, which will actually be getting the fiber off of them. So recall that stinging nettle, when it comes to fiber, is considered a bast plant. And there are several bast plants, just to review. There is, of course, stinging nettle. We have flax. We have hemp. There is dogbane. There is milkweed. There's probably a few others also. And they have an outer layer of bark, which hopefully we rotted most of it off in the water tub. And then inside that is a layer of fiber before you get to the inner core of wood. So, in fact, there's a piece of fiber right there coming right off. You probably can't see it, but that's what we're after. We're after the fiber. This fiber from the bast plant, especially milkweed, especially stinging nettle, they've been harvesting this fiber since the Bronze Age. They have found Bronze Age era artifacts that have what they feel is stinging nettle fiber to it, where they have actually spun the fiber and woven it into little pieces of fabric. So, not that I want to go back to the Bronze Age, but it's kind of interesting to replicate some of these old systems, these old ways. It has this kind of an interest to me. Anyway, we're going to be drying off those stems, get the fiber out, and then we're going to try to figure out how to spin this stuff to make some sort of yarn. Now we have our properly retted stinging nettle stems, and the retting is something that's an acquired skill to get just the right amount of ret. I'm still learning, so this may not be perfect, but we need to ret the stinging nettle to get rid of that outer layer of bark. But once we feel that we have it retted properly, the first thing we want to do is we want to bend or break, just lightly break, kink, whatever word you want to use. We're just going to lightly kink the length of this branch. Just kind of take your fingers and just lightly break it like this, all the way down the length. It gets a little bit difficult down toward the end that you cut. Then go the other way. You can almost hear it breaking. Once you get toward the tip end, it's much easier to break. As I do this, breaking our way down the stem, I want to just remind you that, you know, there are people who work with stinging nettle fiber out there who do not ret. They acquire they get the the fiber and the cordage while the stem is still green. I have not figured that out yet. I've not even tried, to be honest with you. But we'll just go back down the other way and continue to break this off. I guess I like to ret it fully because I'm coming from a flax background where with flax it's very important that you ret it just right. Okay, so we've just about got this done and we're ready to go to the next step. That looks good. We've got it all broken now. Alright, we're ready to go to the next step. So what I like to do, we need to split this stem open. We need to split it open lengthways. I have a couple of tools here, just in case we need some help with tools. I don't know. Most of the time I don't. It gets a little bit difficult where these leaf nodes are, if you can see those, if the camera can pick them up. This is actually a knot. We'll have to work with that. But what I like to do is take my fingernail and insert it in the side of this stem. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but I've actually inserted my thumb into the side of the stem, and I'm splitting the entire stem open. I like to start maybe 1/3 of the way up, like I just did. And if you find it difficult to split, or if you get to one of those leaf nodes, you may use one of those tools. You may need to use a tool. But you see how I'm splitting that open? That's what we want. So we're going to continue to put our thumbnail in and work our way down the length. Having thumbnails just the right length is a big help. Going to carry this down. Now I'm getting to this leaf node. Don't know if you can see it, but there's a leaf node right there. And I'm having trouble with my thumbnail. Maybe I can pry it apart. There we go. I just pried it past that leaf node. You have to struggle with it. Sometimes in life things aren't easy. You have to just work with it. You have to take what I'm telling you right now as a base knowledge, and then you have to try it and then go from there. You have to improve upon what I'm telling you right now. So we're pulling that open. Almost done, almost down to the bottom. There we go. We have it down to the bottom now. We've opened up the side of the stem. Now we're going to work our way to the top. Shouldn't be as difficult going back toward the top, where the bark is thinner. The wood is thinner. It's easier to work with. I'm just running my thumb right on up to the top. Now that we have it split open, we want to open the stem and make a ribbon out of it. Instead of a round cylinder, we want to turn this stem into a ribbon. So to do that, I flip it upside down and I just kind of push on it and just sort of with my fingers flatten it out like I'm doing here. We're just going to flatten that out. So we're just flattening that stem. See how it's become something of a ribbon? Now it's a ribbon. That's just what we want. And we'll work our way down the stem. Alright, that's good. That's our ribbon. Now we're ready to go to the next step, where we actually get the fiber out of it. So what we want to do is start down toward the end, and we're going to break this stem this way. And we're going to peel the wood back from the outer layer. I don't know if you can see that. I'm peeling it back from the outer layer. There's one. We don't need that. There's another one. So this then is our fiber. This is going to be our fiber, or cordage, if you're going to be working on cordage. Now we can peel it back toward the other direction. Now remember, you're working with nature here, so nothing is going to be perfect, although nature, I guess, is perfect, but you have to learn how to work with nature. So you might be struggling at first. It's taken me all summer to get just to this point. So I've begun to peel that away. So I'm going to go down to about here, and I'm going to break this stem again, like that. We had rain the other night, and all these stems were out on the drying rack in the rain, so it's kind of made them a little bit rubbery. Okay, now we have this kind of a thing. Now we can just take these two pieces of wood right off. And now we've got fiber or cordage that's this long. We're going to keep working our way down the length of this stem. First I want to pry it away from the broken end. I want to pry it away at least a ½ inch, like that. Make sure you get all the wood. And then I'll go down to about here and break it again. And I'm just going to pull that wood right off. Just like that. Now the idea here is I've got some extra wood here I'm going to try to get rid of. But the idea, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make one continuous length of ribbon. We would like to have our ribbon be the entire length of this stem. That's the goal. Because the longer your cordage, the more you can do with it. The longer if you make fiber, if you're getting fiber from this, which is my ultimate goal. Some people stop at the cordage step. And now the reason why I'm going to break it again here is because if I were to keep pulling on this, it would probably run out, and it would break my string. So I'm going to break the bark, break the stick right there, and I'm going to start going this way. And then those two openings, those two open or loose pieces of cordage will come together like that, and then we can just lightly pull it off of there. Just like that. This is the wood we don't want. So now look how long, see how long our cordage is now. Our yarn, not yarn, our fiber. So that's looking pretty good. We're going to do this again. We're going to peel that back. We're going to peel this one back. Now this particular stem started to split on us here. That happens a lot. Just stick with it. Just stay with it. Work with it. And hopefully you won't lose your length. So here we are. We're getting another section intact. Pull this off. And then we'll pull this one off. Now our cordage is this long. It needs to be refined, but at least it's this long. I'm trying to photograph myself doing this, and it's difficult. If I were photographing someone else, I could zoom in and get tight shots. But I can't quite do that, because I don't know where I am. But we're pulling that away. And that's how you work this. You just keep working in that matter. And you do your best to get what you can. As we get closer to the tip, it's going to be more and more difficult to keep the strand going. I've already lost my run, as you can see. But you save that because you can use that. That's still quite usable fiber. On a perfect day, we would be able to get one entire length pulled off of there. I have done it. Now that I'm on camera, it's probably not going to work. But that's the goal. And so we'll just keep working our way down. Try not to be in too big of a hurry, because haste makes waste, and that's when you start to break things and you lose your line. We call this line fiber. In the flax and linen world, they call it line flax. So once you kind of get a feel for it, you can start moving a little bit quicker. But even as many of these as I've done, I try not to go too fast. You kind of want to enjoy the moment. You're out here in nature, like I'm fond of saying. And I guess that's about, toward the end you can't really get much from that. But that's what you're after. This is our cordage. This is not perfect. I'm still learning. I plan to refine these and to actually get the fiber from it. I'm still studying that. And when I get that down pat, I'll report back to you with what I've learned. So, it doesn't look like much. It looks like a piece of junk. But I've got a big bundle of it up at the house that I forgot to bring down. And it's a little bit nicer than this. So there you go.